Okay, we're back with talking movies after some technical difficulties. Anyway, we're talking about directors today. Luke had the floor. Did you need to finish your thought there, Luke?
No, I was just gonna say I'm just excited for it to come out for Kiwakaze. It's all the titles are in Hope, which is an ancient Native American language from Arizona. So not really well at pronouncing it, but yeah, if you see it, rent it. It's a pretty good watch. It's just images and sound. Philip Glass's score itself, especially for the first one, is pretty stellar.
How long are they?
I think just about 80 minutes, 80 to 110, like not too long. They can get a little dull at times, but yeah, again, like I said, just the score itself. And they were all produced by Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas in the 80s, when they were really trying to save some movies and give other smaller directors a hands up, which is always a good thing. But yeah, like I said, directors George Lucas. I think it's kind of an interesting one. Started off really strong. American Graffiti is probably one of the greatest coming of age movies of all time. Really get a good feel.
I hate that phrase.
Really?
I understand and know what it means, but
Yeah.
like, really?
No, I know. But it really reminded me. I relate a lot. Just driving around cruising as a teenager, listening to the radio and
Chuck Berry.
yeah. But it was like really bad, like In Sync and
Oh.
um,
I want to
LL
watch
Cool
that.
J.
I want to watch that coming of age story.
There you go.
Driving around listening to NSYNC.
Trying to get cigarettes and stuff, but I don't know. And all Star Wars movies. But I think there's been enough said about George in blogosphere. So
yeah, he's made two great films, New Hope and American Graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess THX
Had its moments.
had its moments. But other than that,
But he's done a lot.
Way to go, George.
He's done a lot for.
You gonna deny Empire just like that? Not even talk about it?
He didn't direct.
Oh, he didn't direct it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. See, that's how much I know.
He only directed The New Hope.
One director that I do.
The first.
Yes. Yeah, number 4. But anyway, one director that I do know and love from the past is John Hughes. He certainly had his mold and his characters, and I think he's also kind of one of those people that if you see one, you kind of see them all, just because you like to follow them, just that type of thing, But yeah, I mean, he's certainly. I mean, didn't necessarily like all his movies, but he certainly left his mark,
Yeah,
on the world, and certainly a lot of 30-somethings such as myself. Any other directors we need to talk about?
Yeah, like you said, vision. I'm not saying he's a total visionary, but he told a story about people from northern Illinois, white suburban people, and just I think what he did, he actually humanized teen feelings a lot, like Breakfast Club for a prime example. I think he gave a lot of voice and to a generation that usually is kind of more just shown as delinquents and brats and party people or people that get killed in slasher movies.
Yeah.
That's true, and I know some professionals who use that movie Breakfast Club as kind of a means of therapy, or just to talk about sociology, or just about teen relationships. It's certainly a great study there. That's a great movie. I could watch that movie once a week, I think. I even though I'm probably more of a Brian Johnson, I wanted to be John Bender. I wanted to be John Bender on the Broadway production of Breakfast Club. But whatever.
There's a Broadway production.
No, there should be though, and I am available. So
Made some good adult movies too. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a great comedy, and then he wrote the first Vacation, which is hilarious.
yeah.
So, but John Hughes, he's an alright guy.
So let's talk a little bit about directors who always do it. They just every time they always rise to the occasion. I'm not saying. Let's say they've never made a bad film. What do you guys think? Can you think of anybody right offhand? Like, who's the first person that comes to your mind of directors who've never made a bad film?
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too, but I always talk about him.
We are always talking about these same guys. Paul Thomas Anderson in his movie The Master comes to Sioux Falls this Friday.
That's right.
West Side Theater.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that next week. I'm going to try to get to it eventually.
We're going to start around 7 a.m. because I'm sure Luke and I will be talking about it a couple of hours.
Yeah, just really great movies and just great music videos too. Just he has a really great technique. I think he understands cinema, kind of blends new and old, and he's creating a new style. Like I almost want to say Kubrick. I know it's kind of almost that's a big name in American cinema, but Kubrick, he's creating his own style like Kubrick.
What are some of his major films that maybe like a lot of people have seen?
I would say Boogie Nights is his. I mean, that's just a really great movie.
And was that his kind of first big hit?
Yeah, that was his big hit. And then I would say the other one is There'll Be Blood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And that one, like I said, that one's just really unique, and there's a lot.
Extremely unique.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in it. I think there's a lot of metaphor. I think, but also just story about father-son relationships, and.
I too am excited about The Master, but I guess when you mention those other films, I am not necessarily a huge fan. I think he certainly I was gonna save this for a different type of podcast, but there is a scene in that Boogie Nights movie, and I think he has a tendency to do this in his movies, just one scene that just totally zeroes you in and maybe almost distracts you from the rest of the film. But the scene in Boogie Nights where Don Cheadle's in the donut shop and it gets robbed and both those guys are shot. He's sitting there with blood on his face and the cash register's open. It's just that scene just has always just gets me every time I've seen it. I've only seen the movie a couple times, but that scene just stuck with me. Just a great intense scene, and it's kind of like, you make the decision too. You make it internally for yourself, and I appreciate when a movie does something like that.
He's got those scenes in every one of his movies. It seems where my jaw just hits the floor, and I can't stop thinking about it. That donut shop scene. I mean, there's a lot going on during that whole
sequence.
Towards the end where oh man, there's so much going on. But man,
I would also say Tarantino hasn't really made a bad one. I mean, even though like a lot of people will say like Death Proof isn't the greatest, but if you watch a lot of those old movies, that's what they are. They're just people sitting around talking, and then the final act is actually the real car chase, and that car chase is amazing, by the way. And he just has a great ear for dialogue. I mean, he does get a little wordy sometimes, and it does take a while, but I mean, I think like Inglourious Basterds is amazing. Just mastering of 5 languages and just technique and his love for cinema, but also trying to get you to have fun with the movie too.
Yeah, especially with Inglourious Basterds and what I've seen from Django Unchained, which comes out in December, he looks like he's getting more and more fun.
Yeah, they're
more
almost
fun with it.
almost comedy in a way, but he also just gets really great performances.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's what a good director also does, is always gets a good performance, an effortless performance, I should say.
We talked about we talked about Ron Swanson being one of our favorite TV characters of all time. I think one of my favorite movie characters of all time is Marcellus Wallace, Big Reams in Pulp Fiction. That's the movie. For some reason, the first time I watched that movie, I absolutely hated it, and maybe it's just because of the way it's set up, with the whatever you want to call it, the disjuncting of the scenes or whatever. But I, for some reason, forced myself to watch that movie over and over again just so I could get my head around it and kind of grasp it. Maybe I should do that with more movies, but I absolutely love that movie. There's so many layers in that movie and I love a movie that has overlapping stories like that. But yeah, Marcellus Wallace is just, I mean, when I saw that, he was the most BA person in the world to me. I just was like, even the first time when I didn't necessarily like the movie, I was just like, wow, who is this guy? And can he be my bodyguard?
Yeah, it's real too bad that Ving Rhames has now joined Cuba and Val Kilmer with made for DVD movies.
Well, it's like he hasn't got a role ever since then. I mean, I based on that movie, I would give him a role. I mean, just.
I think that's what Tarantino does. He can take like Kill Bill, for example, like Daryl Hannah or like Lucy Liu, who are not bad actresses or anything, but are kind of B, and they'll never really get a great movie, but they'll give them some great scenes. And
Uma Thurman.
yeah, and Uma Thurman, actually, who is really a good actress, but just never seems to have a good career of whatever reason.
Yeah, the only outlet that she can really shine in is a Tarantino.
Yeah, I thought she was going to producers, actually. She could actually really belt it. But yeah, no, Tarantino is going to be...
I guess I haven't seen enough of those Tarantino movies to say it, you know, make a judgment on that. I have seen Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. Jackie Brown was, you know, that's a movie that probably doesn't get talked about too lot, but I have seen that with him. That was another one of his movies, and I really liked that movie. I think I saw that opening weekend in the theater, and I think it just got torn apart by the critics, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that one.
My appreciation for that, I gain more appreciation every time I see it.
Maybe I was too enamored with Bridget Fonda to see the other layers in it, but I mean, it's just fun, and I like, you know, like De Niro in a role like that. You know, he's not meeting any Fockers or anything. He's just being, you know, kind of the cool guy that he is, and I appreciate that Tarantino sees characters and says that, you know, this is what I'm doing with them. He sees, you know, I think he really, when he puts people in his movies, he really plays to those people's strengths.
And speaking of tension, he's like the donut shop. Oh man, Jackie Brown, the whole parking lot scene with Robert De Niro and Bridget Fonda, my jaw. Every time, my jaw.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Well, and you know, there's a scene in that scene in Pulp Fiction. You know, we talked about he kind of makes movies fun. There's that scene in Pulp Fiction where they shoot Marvin in the face. I don't really know how there ways to explain it, but I mean, that shouldn't be funny, but it's hilarious, you know. And then it's followed by Harvey Keitel, you know, telling him to clean up the car, and you know, oh yeah, that scenes like that shouldn't be hilarious, but you know, oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. Yeah, he certainly has a way of doing things like that. I do have to say though, I really wish he wasn't in his movies. I mean, you know, if I'm a director, you can do whatever you want. You know, I'd probably do the same thing if I was a director and be in my movies. But I just don't think the guy can act. No, just how I am. I mean,
yeah. I think he knows when to stay out. I think if he was like Kill Bill and stuff, he was supposed to do a voiceover for the Kung Fu Master. This was going to be dubbed like an old Kung Fu movie, but they just let him speak, which I think actually enhanced the movie more. I think helped. It was better that he was speaking Japanese and stuff instead of having Tarantino's voiceover. And if he was in Inglourious Basterds, it would have really thrown me off. It was like in the...
Well, you know, other directors, they're in a lot of their movies, but it's like, you know, they're the guy in the bar, you know.
Or a cameo, like, well, Hitchcock has kind of started that, you know, and M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. You know, speaking of M. Night Shyamalan, we just got a minute here. I definitely appreciate his movies. I think maybe more than other people, I don't know why. I haven't seen them all. I like The Village. I think it was billed wrong. You know, I think it was billed as a horror film, and it was more of a psychological type of thing. You know, I love the whole idea of the whole secret society. Lady in the Water was pretty out there, but I don't know, for some reason I really liked it. You know.
No, he's actually, I think, a decent filmmaker. You know, he understands, but I think the twist. You know, I don't think he needs to do a twist, or I think people expect it, or I don't know. He has some flaw to him, I guess. But I mean, no, he's a decent filmmaker. You know, that's my opinion on him.
I do love Signs a lot. Well, you know what? I like Sixth Sense, although it was predictable. I knew the ending. Unbreakable is very underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the other one of his that I've seen. I haven't seen all of them, but I did see Unbreakable, and I think that movie's a little slow to certain aspects, but it's just, I think the whole look and the whole appeal of that movie, you know, the story, it was just really great, really strong. So.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Until next time.
That's Talkin' Movies. You can find us on Facebook at Metal Fraker Productions. That's METALFRAKER. Thank you and goodbye. That word is too long to spell out.